All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Fruits Basket, Season 1, Episode 14.
We were introduced last episode to Ayame.
Yes.
Ayame, the sex god.
It was glorious.
The brother of Yuki.
That's right. And he's just trying to be a good big brother.
A good big brother indeed.
Because he wasn't in the past.
Yes, someone that was a part of the trio, though, of the original high school or chaos crew.
That's right.
Of Shigure, Hasan or Hattori, and then, of course, himself. The one burdened by glorious lust.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, not burdened by enough of it, though, apparently. Because
No. It is never a burden to him, but to others, they understand.
I don't
the
know.
pressure that he's under.
He did make it clear that he's a bottom, so maybe he likes being burdened a bit. You know?
That's
I
why
could see
to
that.
everyone else it's a burden, but
Right.
it could never be to him.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
Yes. And given that this is now another member of the Soma family, we're starting to add up the numbers here.
And we're filling out the
filling
Zodiac,
up the Zodiac
pretty well.
Yeah, quite a bit. So,
What's next?
Yeah, what's next? Maybe introduce another one. Maybe a little
More
bit
school life stuff?
a little bit more of the school life stuff. I've really enjoyed how, as they've added more characters into the school dynamic there, it's just more Soma family members. We get to have more of the chaos dynamic and silliness.
Indeed, of course.
All that is very welcome. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Okay, all right, okay. Wow, this episode emotionally just
a doozy.
Just tore our hearts open.
I thought that, like, when we got into the Momiji stuff, I thought it's I guess the whole thing with going to Toru's mom's grave is going to be for next episode, because, and that was sort of like the foreshadowing for it and letting us know that it was going to happen. But this episode is going to focus on Momiji because this is really good stuff.
And it's more of the setup that this is a mother-centric kind of episode, but specifically the mother-to-child connection.
Right, and the absent mother. You know.
And we got that in spades. Okay, so Momiji is in the unique situation where he remembers everything.
Yeah.
But not only that, he has the ability to every once in a while see his mother because she comes by every once in a while to pick up his dad and his sister. But he can't be actually a member of the nuclear family in their household and stuff like that.
It's because, just, I'm a distant relative. You know?
Yeah, something like that. And even then, the dad has to then also live the double life of still trying to love his son and spend time with him as a CEO of a company, which already probably just doesn't happen. So can you like imagine the amount of abandonment, like feelings of abandonment and like the desire for just to be sought after that Momiji does? It makes sense even why he plays cops and robbers. He just loves the idea of being chased. Just the idea of having someone like desire to be with him.
Well, and just his personality of being so like fun and warm and energetic and everything. It's basically ways to get an invitation, right?
Yeah.
It's a persuasion to get people to accept him, right, and want to be around him.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah, like that
like mothers for us in general hit us in the heart like already. But then there's the added aspect of it being a son. But then the double, triple aspect of it of being mentally unwell with the mother, and then on top of that, the idea that there's the forced separation by some mechanics of the story.
The whole thing of the mother being like, my one regret is giving birth to that creature right? That was almost too much for me. Like, I was just like,
I thankfully saw the cliche coming.
I did too.
So I emotionally prepared myself. I knew once we had him watching in the background. I was like, here we go. He's going to hear something he shouldn't.
Damn
it. And he's in a very young, formative years and stuff.
And he could also have memories be wiped.
But he doesn't. He doesn't. I really, really love that they went into that aspect of that, and that's the theme, is the memories. The idea that Toru, a character who is an enigma to every one of the Soma family members.
Yep.
Like, every single one of them doesn't fully understand her.
And even she doesn't.
But that's... Most
people
people don't understand themselves.
Sure.
Usually because we look at someone from an outside perspective, we only have the limited capacity to see their surface self, not as much their inner, persona, if you will. But because of that, you get in some ways an easier time understanding a person because you don't have as much variables to consider, so you can kind of simplify it to, oh, you're someone that values kindness and empathy and what have you. And those things are all true. None of it contradicts who Toru is, but if you were to look inside Toru, you'd be like, "Holy shit! How is she functioning?
Right? There's
how is she so brimming full of light?
It's such a contradiction, kind of that it defies explanation, right? And yet they're around her all the time. They see her existing. They know that this isn't just a fake thing,
right?
That a part of it is definitely put on. It's not true. It's not
true.
It's not shallowly put on. Like she really tries to embody that for herself just as much as everyone else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
in that respect, that's how you know it's, even if it's put on, it's still real because she needs herself to be this way.
Exactly.
Too. So it's
and that's why Wo and Hana are so important to have as friends.
Yes.
Every time that they're anytime that they're on screen, I am automatically going to enjoy the scene. It's something where they add so much as a balance to Toru, right? Because Toru, I feel like it's I'm learning additional things about just other anime and things like that, because since this is such a beloved older series, right? Even though this is a remake, I'm starting to see where some of some of the other character archetypes might have also been not that Toru was the first too wholesome type character, but that it's done so well with Toru because of all the people around her and everything, and how she fits into the story and the contradiction, that I could absolutely see a ton of other series being like, ooh, yes, we want to try and capture that somehow.
Yeah, because Toru's just lovable.
Exactly.
I cannot tell you how much this story hits the nail on the head of making the main character one of the best characters in the story. It's probably one of the roughest and toughest things to do when you have an ensemble cast where every one of them has this colorful, fun, ridiculous aspect to their personality, and then also so much emotional complexity and depth that the main character could feel potentially one note and so just brimming full of goodness that you're like, well, where's the contradiction? Where's the complexity? Where's the depth? And then you just have to look for 2 seconds and you're like, oh, there it is.
Yep.
There it is. Okay. So, episode stellar. So much stuff jam-packed in here. The Momiji stuff, just to wrap stuff up discussion-wise on him. The idea that he was used structurally in this episode to set up the things that are important for Toru's portion of the story with visiting her mother's grave this episode was really good. But having it be through the idea of memories and the idea that I want to believe that I can overcome those really painful memories. Momiji casting this strong hand out to the ground as if to brace himself from reeling on this crazy ship that's being cast about, being like, no, I will overcome this. I won't fall overboard and die.
Yeah.
I will do this. And you can just see Toru empathizing out the wazoo, but then also drawing the connection back to herself of realizing, oh my God.
Yep.
I know exactly what this is like. Yeah. And yet I've never experienced something to this level. There's no way I could truly understand that kind of pain.
Right. And yet
she tries to.
It's something where having Toru in that scene with Momiji is important, not just because for character reasons, but also for structurally. You need to have a character for Momiji to talk about this stuff too, so that we, the audience, can hear it, right? And come to understand it.
Of course.
And oftentimes when I see characters crying in an anime where it's like they hear someone's story and it's like, oh, that's so sad. it might be sad, but sometimes I can kind of feel like it's
You're being coaxed to cry.
Yeah, like this is your signal of that this is a sad thing, so you should be sad too. But in this situation, one of the reasons why I feel like it works really well is one, not just because Toru is a very empathetic character, but because we see why it would specifically hurt Toru to like empathize with Momiji in this regard, right? Because it hits close to home for herself, even though it's something that's totally different, right? And that's something that took the simplicity of us just then seeing Toru with tears running down her face. And yeah, of course, then she runs up and hugs him, right? You know, rules be damned. Who cares if someone sees the fact that Momiji is a bunny? You know, like...
Yeah. I love the idea, though, that even the friends in the beginning and the end of the episode very sweetly bookended in a very clever way. Just, you know, went and theorized about the idea of Toru either dying or getting married, and basically their...
how they would respond to that,
emotion and thoughts regarding that, and with the idea of forgetting if she died, if that was something that happened, but also then if she got married, no, I don't want to think about that right now. Basically, the same thing as forgetting, but in the future kind of thing of I cast that from my mind. Nope.
That's too early to think about.
Too early, yeah, exactly. So there's just some really cool rule of twos rhyming things, you know, making sure things are repeated in just enough measure that we get the point of the episode. I can't imagine, though, the amount of trauma
that Momiji
has just bottled up.
Yep.
And yet you don't really see Momiji as a
traumatized character.
No, not that. I don't see him with people that are somas usually, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Like, he seems to always be on his own, you know?
Sure.
There's almost this idea that he's like, I'm... like, this is a weird way to put it, but I assume more so than anything, but that due to the somas, all who are the Zodiac members,
right,
having at the very least to deal with some aspect of the disconnect from humanity by being possessed by a Zodiac spirit.
Sure.
That Momiji would either, on some level, feel a level of connection in that they've experienced stuff that would be somewhat similar to this.
Yeah.
Or, and this is a complete opposite side of things, find an element of disconnect even with them because they don't have anything to offer necessarily in that area.
Right, it's we can all be alone together, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're helping.
Exactly.
There might be some camaraderie, but...
Yep. Camaraderie is not what I think Momiji needs. I think Momiji needs an Uo or a Hana-chan, essentially, and Toru is in some ways being that kind of a friend to at least Kyo and Yuki, and then Momiji hears about this and is like, oh my god.
I'm gonna go over there.
And not only that, it's a girl, so there's that slight alternate stand-in for a mother.
Yep. Oh,
and
let me sleep with you, Toru.
Toru is such an understanding, caring, patient, kind, empathetic person. That in some ways is stereotypically kind of given of the cliche mother figure in fiction. So it's like, oh, okay, that'll do it. And then also the convenience aspect of that she works at his father's company.
Right.
It just informs Momiji's entire character. So I'm just impressed that in half the episode, Momiji is like jumped up the character totem pole, if you will.
Because I already loved Momiji. Like he's you know, there's nothing to not like about him, right?
Right, exactly.
You know, and when he's on screen, he's generally very fun and like adds a lot to the scene and just he's a wonderful person, right? Yeah. You know, wholesome boy. So how could we possibly not like him, right?
Right.
But this is where it's
no, he's not one-dimensional anymore.
Right, exactly. You know, it's there's a lot more to him than just what we see on the surface. But
then we've got to go have a good time.
First year anniversary.
Visiting Toru's mom's grave.
And the fact that, I don't know why I was surprised by this, because in a lot of the scenes when we saw Toru's mom being alive, Toru wasn't that young. You know, like, so but I'd never really clued into the idea that it was that recent. Because if you think about it, with regards to this show, it actually moves fairly quickly.
This show does move really quickly.
We have already had quite a bit of time pass.
A year.
Yeah, I think a year. So how recent, at the beginning of the show, how recently was it exactly when Toru's mom had died?
She had died, yeah.
Yeah.
It was extremely recent.
And I guess that makes sense, because if she stopped living, if she didn't end up living with her grandpa, right? She probably wasn't living on her own very long, because she wouldn't have been able to sustain that, right?
Thankfully,
you know. But and who knows
that's
how
where
long
she was at when she had just lost her mom.
Yeah, even if it was like a couple months earlier, or something like that, that's still no time at all.
In some ways, it tells you sort of many of the ways in which Toru has already grown to be able to receive love, because there's a 100,000, 10 billion% chance that if she had asked her friends to be like, "Can I live with you?" They would have absolutely done it at the time, because they know what she's gone through. Who cares about the convenience or the economics or the space or whatever?
Yep.
No issues with that, but Toru probably specifically didn't do that because she didn't want to bother them, and that's the kind of place she was at the time. So
now she's a bit more okay with bothering people.
Yeah, and it's so good.
Yeah.
So this whole scene very much juxtaposes Kyo against the group, basically.
Yep.
He is constantly on edge. Every single shot that he's in, he's either in the back, he's either looking kind of with his brow furrowed. Now, this is typical Kyo stuff in general.
Yeah, he's generally an angsty boy.
Angsty boy, but, like, it's glaringly obvious even now just looking through it.
Yeah. Even when Yuki said that he would go with Toru to her mom's grave.
Yep.
That actually, I think, is like a wonderful way to show just how much something's up.
Yeah.
Because Kyo is such an extreme character that he would not let Yuki be the one to go with Toru to the grave.
Him in that way.
Exactly, right? He would be like, all right, well, if you're going to do that, I will too.
Yeah.
So the fact that he isn't, that speaks volumes about the fact that something's going on.
Yeah. Right after Yuki kind of does that, and we get a little shot of, Kyo looking downtrodden, Shigoro is like, hey, Kyo, go along if you don't have any other plans that day. Kind of a thing of like, hey, bro, I'm looking out for you.
Right.
So you should go. Like, Shigure, like, the way he talks,
he's got a good nose.
Knows. Well, right. But I think he definitely knows whatever happened or whatever's going on. Like, he's a member of the Soma, like, family's, like, in group. Like,
that's true.
He's possessed by a zodiac spirit. He probably knows exactly why Kyo is, like...
reticent, yeah.
Yeah. And yet he's like, no, you should go. Because I think Shigure's game, the more and more... we get, like, time in this story, he's Urahara. Like, he's 100% Urahara.
Yeah.
He is playing the long game. He's playing the long game so hard. He is trying to help these boys. And be like, I get it. You're on the outs with the family. You do not want to be a part of this family. Yes, we're fucked up. We're crazy. We're weird. But you know what? I think you guys are way stronger than you think. I think you guys are way more fast. He's the dog basically being like, you guys could do this. I believe in you. I believe in you so much. Like, you guys are stupid, baka idiots, but I cannot help but believe in you. And in some ways, I think that's how he is with Akito as well. I think he absolutely is the same way, where he's just like, you stupid baka.
Right, but maybe a bit more of like the you dog, rather than like, who's a good boy,
But yeah, but that's how people talk to the dog. He's the dog. You have to translate it down into dog speak. For him, he's like, Master, you wouldn't do that. No, why would you do that?
I love the idea of that being the case, but I haven't picked up on too much of that.
I'm extremely dramatizing it, but my point here is that this is the kind of thing I expect from Shigure, which is, I'm going to stir up some drama by making you go, but I know it's actually going to help you in the long term.
Right. Yep.
And then we get multiple bits here. The thing that sold it for me, though, was when they cut to Kyo deciding to go in the middle of the emotional bit here. But check out the line here for this. Let me find the I want to embrace all of my memories and keep believing that. And talking about basically, let me get the full thing of what Momiji's desire is. I want to believe that there isn't a single memory that's okay to forget. And then, so the truth is, I didn't want Mama to forget about me. I wanted her to try her best for me, but that's my own selfish wish. So that's a secret.
And then she hugs him.
And she's like, yes, me too. I believe that too. I want to embrace all my memories and keep believing that. And then we cut over to Kyo.
And he says, I'll be going too.
To visit the grave.
Right.
And I think for him, Kyo is like Yuki in that they're both kind of separate from, like, interior Soma family.
For different reasons.
For completely different reasons. Yuki's thing seems to be more and more connected to Akito as we go on.
Right. Yuki's whole thing is, I've been smothered by it. Now I'm going to find out, get some space and figure out who I am. Kyo is I'm the outcast.
Kyo feels like he might be self-outcasted. Now, the more and more I think about this.
I like the idea of that.
Yeah, and the idea I think I have is that he's the cat. The cat has interesting lore within the Zodiac whole
being deceived and all that stuff.
Yeah. I think that Toru's mom was the cat.
Yeah, so...
And that whatever he did at that moment with the hat and all that, because there was a person, a boy that was there, and I think he was wearing the hat.
Yes.
At that point in the memory. We don't know who it was, because they very much shadow...
Yeah, they made it nondescript and everything.
Yeah, very nondescript. It could have been anyone, basically. It definitely looked like a boy, though.
Yeah.
I would say. And I'm going to guess that it was Kyo, and that something that he did, screwed up things with Toru's mom that indirectly eventually either led to her death or to her having to pass on the Zodiac cat spirit to him.
So the thing, Toru's mom also was a bit of an outcast, right, from society. So that fits.
That's true.
That fits in with the whole kind of cat motif or aesthetic or whatever. Thematically, if she was the cat, that would fit, right?
Okay, sure.
And then we know that she died recently.
Very recently.
So a lot after the whole situation with the hat.
A long time after, yeah.
Now, that could still be something that was Kyo. I feel like it's something where Kyo either has a connection to Toru's mom that does not involve her death or anything like that, but like some connection to her. And given the fact that I had this weird theory, it probably isn't this, but that he was like blood related to Toru's mom, since they brought up the whole idea of, who's Toru's dad? Oh, okay. He died, I guess, a long time ago. I don't really remember. Right. And then we established something of where the parents are usually have their memory wiped of children that are are possessed by a Zodiac spirit. But a lot of that is just based on the fact that they have the same hairstyle and things like that, and the whole thing of Toru's mom and Toru being like, oh, cat Zodiac, cats are cool and whatnot.
Right,
but,
right.
Then the other one is, what if he had something to do with her death?
Yeah.
Because...
The weirdest theory, but I hate this theory, is that he's a reincarnation of her mom.
No.
Yeah, that's my dumbest theory. I have no stock in it at all. But that's entirely based on the hair color as well. But I think we're getting to that point where the show is basically ready to tell us what happened back then.
Because one of the other things that I think is interesting is that at the end of the episode, when Kyo was about to kiss Toru,
he didn't,
but he specifically said, I'm sorry. Now, that could be, I'm sorry, I almost kissed you while you were asleep, and I shouldn't have done, that's not something that I should do.
Yeah.
But it's also very much a possibility that it's maybe because of, I don't know, the waves that he was screaming while at, Toru's mother's grave.
Or just the past and what happened.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
What?
Okay, no, never mind. When Yuki looks at the hat and he kind of recognizes it, and then it shows Toru's mom jumping to give Toru a hug and the hat falling off. I was trying to think like maybe there's something we could glean from that. For like how the person got the hat and where it came from.
Okay, there's a very obvious one. Is that Yuki recognizes the hat. Like he remembers it because he was maybe there as well.
Sure.
Yeah. And that could be also it, is that it's not that Kyo was the one there, it's that Yuki was the one there. And he recognizes the hat, and thus that's proof that he was the one that was there. And maybe one or both of them saw Yuki transform.
Right. And so then there was the whole thing of, okay, memory being wiped and whatnot to cover up for it or something like that.
Right.
And, yeah.
Who knows? Okay. Just really, really good episode overall.
Yep.
I loved the Hana Uo stuff at the gravesite.
Yes, that was excellent.
I loved that they had a little picnic moment there, even though it's like, well, it's not the rules, you know,
right
about that.
And then Yuki looking straight at the camera and being like,
yeah, we don't do this, you know.
Right.
It's kind of disrespectful. But I really loved the commentary from Hana and Uo when they left, basically saying that those three seemed better and better together, you know. Yuki's speaking more of his mind, you know, the prince, you know. And Kyo seems to care about Toru, whatever he says. Maybe someday he'll confess his love for her. Now, I just want to bring up something really interesting. They bring up the whole idea of them being plagued by dark thoughts and stuff, and that's why they can't have romantic relationships. That is such a great meta way to say, chill on the shipping, like, no matter what.
Right.
Because either way, this show is not about just who gets with who.
Exactly.
It's primarily about them overcoming their own internal issues. And if love comes from that, great. It could happen in the midst of that. It could happen after that. But either way, maturity-wise,
they are not
none
ready.
of them.
Including Toru.
Including Toru.
Yep.
And I'm very
really
glad about that. Oh my god. They're high schoolers. But not only that, they're high schoolers. These high schoolers have some dorama. And I think it is interesting, though, that of the two of them, though, that Uo kind of seems to have this almost big sister attitude towards Kyo, but not towards Yuki. She calls Yuki the prince a lot, but she's always kind of teasing Kyo and kind of messing with him. And then she says, what if Kyo confesses his love? And then Kyo's the one that does the, I'm going to lay a peck on her.
Right, exactly.
But instead it's, no, I'm sorry. But then Yuki sees that and...
Yeah. Yep.
Just what are they setting up here?
But I just gotta say, I love that this is what we're getting into in the second core of the first season. Like, there...
Oh my god.
Okay, the third season is like one core or something, right? But,
I don't know.
Okay, but there's at least 5 cores, I believe, because the first 2 seasons are 2 core, right?
At least 5 core.
I
want to say it is 5 core.
Yeah. So, this is a long series.
It's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Right, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood length.
Yep.
And here, we are getting some pretty big developments as far as, you know, like if this is at the very, very first episode of the second core, what's going to be the last episode of the second core? What are we going to get into? I don't even want to think about what core 3 and 4 are going to be, let alone core 5. So core 5 at this rate could seriously be them like having graduated college.
I don't think it'll go that far, but I think that graduating high school will happen.
And like, not be the end of the series,
Yeah, before the end of the series,
Right.
I think the biggest part really is going to be the independence of all the main 3 characters and what they do after high school.
Yeah.
I think that we have had multiple... I want to go big, like, full... Like, I want to tap into paths here for a second. Kyo and his arc, I would say, points me in a direction where he's going to have to save... And this is funny. He's going to have to save Yuki. I think Yuki is going to get subsumed in again by the family.
Sure.
Once, like, a certain threshhold is met.
Yeah.
Once that happens, the prince needs to be saved, basically.
Yep.
Nice little twist there. But I think that Toru is the real mystery. I have zero hard belief in where her arc will ultimately take her. I have ideas of, like, things where they'll go along the way.
Sure.
But
But in general,
other than emotional internal,
right.
resolution, and then the moment of, why do I want to bring butterflies into this again?
The whole jacket.
The transformation and the unveiling of the wings, basically, and that Toru is the light and will bring just that full thing to cast out the darkness, basically.
Speaking of butterflies, something that I wanted to bring up is that I love how through Uo and Hana we get an even better look as to the kind of person that Toru's mom was.
Sure.
It would be very easy in a story like this for Toru's mom to stop being a person and more be an idea.
Yeah.
The sort of amorphous amalgamation of Toru's like hardship, basically, right? But it's not. Right? We get little details of, oh yeah, remember she was the crimson butterfly, right? I still have this jacket that she gave me. Like she passed on to me specifically.
Yeah, why did she give that to Uo and not to anyone else?
Right.
Well, because Uo wanted it, probably.
Right, exactly, because she knew them, right? It was something where she didn't just have connection to Toru. So while, yes, Uo and Hana are going here because it's our friend's mom, of course we are. But it's also because they had connection with her too. And all that on top of just the fact that I love the idea of the badass, motorcycle, mom, that then has the jacket that gets passed on to the friend as like an heirloom, and it's like, I will, continue the legacy.
Inherit the will of D,
yeah. Like it's a thing that is both fun, but also has a lot of emotion behind it.
Inherit the will of G.
But
just all my life I wanted to be a gangster.
Right, exactly, yeah. And I mean, she rocks the jacket great, or the coat. Yeah,
I
guess.
Look at her.
Yeah.
It's
if
she
awesome.
pulled out a katana made of wood and threw it on her back,
and not be surprised at all.
Like, yep, of course she does.
Right,
of course.
Speaking of anime girls pulling out wooden katanas and whatnot. The OP having all the umbrellas, I gotta say, I really appreciated that, because there's another high school anime that has.
Have I seen it?
Yes, that has specifically umbrellas in its second OP.
Wait.
With them spinning and showing the characters moving along and things like that. Toradora.
Oh, it's just been a long time. I guess I've seen it.
And the first Toradora OP is way more memorable as a whole.
It is.
But I love that, and I know that probably wasn't like of course it's its own thing, right? But that was just something that I thought of and was like, oh yeah, okay, all right, I'm gonna like this core.
I gotta say, the lyrics for the first OP. Sorry, for this OP, this new OP. Yes. Yes. I feel like,
and again, second core.
Yeah, I feel like this show, at times, does a really good job of reminding me what it's all about in a way that feels just environmental enough and subtle enough that I'm not feeling bashed over the head by it.
Gotcha.
Because then it would pull me out of the
actual
character
story.
drama. Yeah, the character drama, but being like, no, this is a story about family. This is a story about found family. This is a story about family being something that goes beyond blood, beyond tradition, beyond spiritual zodiac possessions, beyond all that shit. Family is forever. And I'm just like, yes, of course it is. Yes,
we know you like that
shit.
Yeah, we know you like that found family shit, so here you go, uncut,
sprinkled throughout the OP, and I'm just like, you get me. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.